Thanks for joining me today. This is Danny and welcome back to my Botania series. Today we are going to be doing an automated pumpkin farm. But we're not just going to get pumpkins from this, we're also going to get pumpkin seeds. We're going to harvest the pumpkins, we're going to turn some of the pumpkins into seeds, and we're going to keep a certain number of seeds on hand, and then we're also going to keep a certain number of pumpkins on hand, and we're going to turn on and off the automation based on how much we have. So here's what we're going to need for this project. Of course, we're going to need a pumpkin farm, and I've got the pumpkin farm set up so that the pumpkins can only grow in one direction, so that we're going to have straight rows of pumpkins. So of course, we're going to need a bunch of redstone stuff, a couple repeaters, a couple comparators, some redstone. We're also going to need some item frames to go with some hopper hocks and a couple of chests. We're going to need a couple of pulse mana spreaders along with some bore lenses. That's what we're going to use to break the blocks, the pumpkin blocks. We're going to need some sparks along with some diluted mana pools, or just whatever, some kind of mana pools. I'm using diluted so that we don't have so much mana tied up in it. We're going to need a couple of recessive sparks, and we're also going to use a crafty crate along with some crafting placeholders, and I'll show you how those work when we get to that part. And then of course, some pumpkins and pumpkin seeds. So I'm going to put the mana pools down here in the ground so that they're kind of out of the way, and then these pulse mana spreaders. Now, if you don't know, a pulse mana spreader is a regular mana spreader that only gives us a mana burst when it gets a redstone pulse. And then we're going to put the other two mana pools over on the other end, so that these mana spreaders are shooting into those mana pools, so any excess mana will end up in those mana pools. And then we're going to grab the sparks and the augments. We're going to put sparks in every one of these mana pools. We're going to put recessive augments in these two mana pools, so that way any mana that ends up in these pools will end up being sent back to these pools. I can't get under there, huh? Okay, I guess I'll have to break these blocks away and then put our sparks down there. I'm going to put a hopper hock here. However, I'm going to put it on a block of mycelium in order to delay it, and we'll see why in a second. And then on this chest, I'm going to put an item frame, and in that item frame, I'm going to put a pumpkin, telling us that we want this guy to pick up this pumpkin. Now, this guy is not getting mana right now, but as we can see, the range is big enough where it will pick up any pumpkins that are dropped in this pumpkin farm. So we throw a pumpkin over there. There's going to be a short delay, and then it's going to get picked up and put in this chest. Okay, so I'm going to put another chest over here, and this chest, we'll put an item frame on it, and this one is going to be for pumpkin seeds. So there will be a delay in picking up pumpkin seeds too, but that's fine. That's fine. We don't care about that if they sit out in the world for an extra second or so. Now the crafty crate, we played around with the crafty crate a while ago in order to make charcoal blocks out of our charcoal. So basically the crafty crate, you pipe items into it, and it will place the items in the crafting grid in the order that they're inserted. When you have a crafting recipe that takes up the full grid. Now in this case, we have a crafting recipe that's only going to take up one part of the grid, and that is for pumpkin seeds. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these crafting placeholders, 8 crafting placeholders, along with a piece of redstone, and in a crafting table, or maybe just whatever, just in here, we're going to place these placeholders with a piece of redstone, and that's going to give us a crafting pattern 1 by 1. This piece of mycelium, by the way, I got it from clicking an infestation spore on some grass over in the woods, and that basically spawns a bunch, or converts a bunch of the grass in the area to mycelium. An infestation spore is just basically a mushroom placed in a mana pool. Okay, so I'm going to put the crafty crate there, and then I'm going to take our little crafting pattern and right click on it. So now we can see that we have that crafting pattern here, and we actually don't. We can just throw that in there because we don't need that anymore. I'm going to break this block out. So the crafty crate is similar to an open crate, where once it has all the items that it needs to craft whatever it is crafting, it's going to drop them down in the world. So we are going to put a item frame on it, and we're going to tell it we want pumpkins. and we're going to put a hopper hock on it. That's going to be just on a piece of dirt or grass or whatever, which means that it won't be delayed. So that what that means is when we throw a pumpkin in the world, or we break a pumpkin or whatever, it's going to get picked up by the Crafty Crate first, and it ends up turning into pumpkin seeds, and the pumpkin seeds are then going to be placed in this chest. Hooray! So that's the whole automation. Now, of course, we're not going to end up with any pumpkins because they're all going to end up in here because this one's going to pick it up before that. So the first thing that we're going to have to do is take our redstone comparator and one of our repeaters and a bunch of redstone. Actually, we don't need that anymore either. We don't need that anymore because I decided to share that one. We're going to put the comparator on this chest and run some redstone. And actually, I'm just going to run a little bit of redstone maybe over here, and then I'm going to stick a repeater there. So what this will do is it's going to output a redstone signal based on how full the chest is. When we get a redstone signal of 3, it's going to go into this repeater, which is then going to go into, oh crap, I want it to go into that hopper hock, so I guess I'm going to have to make this wider. But the idea here is that once we have a redstone signal of 3, that's going to mean that we're going to have about 3 stacks, or is it about 4 stacks? About 3 or 4 stacks of pumpkin seeds, which I think is plenty. And that's going to turn this hopper hock off. Now, because the hopper hock uses a redstone root, it can be turned off with a redstone signal. So for instance, if we throw 3 stacks of dirt in here, let's see, what do we got? Oh, that still only has a redstone signal of 2, so put 1 more stack, and now we have a redstone signal of 3. So I ended up elevating that so that the redstone doesn't cross, and so that it goes directly into the hopper hock. So now, if we break a pumpkin, it shouldn't get picked up by that hopper hock. It should get picked up by the other one and put in this chest. Nice. Hooray! So what that means is that when this chest has enough seeds, then it's going to start allowing this hopper hock to pick up the pumpkins and put them in this chest. Hooray! So I'm going to take that dirt out of there so that it will start picking up seeds again, or start producing seeds. Put a redstone repeater on this guy so that when this chest is full enough, it's going to shut off the automation that's going to break the pumpkins. So we'll start. I mean, we could do something similar. I mean, we could go out maybe 3, depending on how many pumpkins we want to store. So if we go out like 3 if we go out 3 pumpkins, 3 or 4 redstone, and then place a repeater. And then play with that redstone signal. But let's get this redstone set up first. So we've got our Manna bore we've got our bore lenses, and we're going to put those on our pulse Manna spreaders so that when they get a pulse, they're going to break the pumpkins in front of them. And then we are going to grab a hovering hourglass. I forgot. You'll have to add that to the list that I gave you at the beginning. I forgot about the hovering hourglass. Hovering hourglass is made like that. That's Manna glass, just glass dropped in a Manna pool. And of course, Manna steel, and I'm sure you recognize the other items. And then we're going to need some soul sand. I'm going to do probably about 4, maybe 5 soul sand. Hovering hourglass, we can put sand in there. Each piece of sand will set the timer 1 second. If we use red sand, each piece of red sand will be 10 seconds. Each piece of soul sand will be 1 minute. So I put 5 soul sand in there. That means that every 5 minutes, this thing is going to pulse. Now, actually, for now, while we're playing around with this, I'm just going to put 1 piece of soul sand in there so that it pulses every minute so that we can kind of see what's going on. But when we're all done, I'm going to put 5 in there. So while we're waiting for that to pulse, then what I'm going to do with this redstone signal is I'm just going to connect it over here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Repeater. I'm gonna have to figure out what to do to make this look nicer because I don't really like the way this looks right now, but whatever. Let's just get this working first, like I always say. We're just gonna run that into this. So then what's gonna happen is when we have enough, it's just gonna give a constant redstone signal to our pulse Manna spreaders, which effectively will make them do 1 final pulse. And then after that, they'll basically ignore the hovering hourglass because they'll already have a redstone signal. Now we've got to get mana into these pools. Okay, so I just got mana coming over here from over there for now. Eventually this mana pool will get mana from these guys. So, and things will balance out eventually here. The only problem is we are going to end up overflowing with mana eventually. So I'll have to figure out how we're going to get the mana out of this and probably back over there. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of rearranging here. So this is functionally done. Like, this should work the way it's supposed to. I'm just going to work on making this look a little bit nicer at the moment. We already had our first pulse, and it caused all these to break, and we got a bunch of seeds from it. 35 seeds already. So that's nice. And in fact, it's about to pulse again, so we can watch. Only that side is working right now, but that'll change soon. And there goes the Manna pulse. It went into that pool, which should eventually end up going over there. Okay, there we go. I made a few minor adjustments. It's still the same concept. I just moved the hovering hourglass over here. I got rid of those 2 blocks of grass, and it's directly pulsing this one and sending a redstone signal to that one, obviously. And then this is coming from here. It's still a little messy, but it looks better than it did. And just to test, just to make sure that this is working correctly, if we put 4 stacks of cobble in here, we should see that it gets a pulse, and it sends it to that mana pool, and then we see the spark sending the stuff back. And then we can see that this redstone signal just stays on. So when this guy pulses, which it will shortly, we'll see that it's not going to cause these guys to send mana bursts. Any second now. Okay, so we saw that the hovering hourglass flipped. These things did not send a mana pulse or a mana burst. So this is working perfectly. I'm actually going to take this out because we do want it to send mana bursts. And we already got 55 pumpkin seeds. Nice. In fact, we can throw the rest. We can throw these pumpkins out, and we'll get even more pumpkin seeds, because right now that's mostly what we want is seeds. And once we have enough seeds, then we're going to start collecting pumpkins. So I made one small change to the farm, and that is because there is one undesirable scenario in which if we fill up with seeds and then we fill up with pumpkins, it's going to turn our system off, or the way we had it set up before, being full of pumpkins would turn the system off. And then if we were then to grab some seeds, for instance, for our farm over here, the system would not turn back on because we have enough pumpkins, so it wouldn't run anymore. So I switched it to use an AND gate to shut things off. In case you're not familiar with it, this is a basic AND gate in vanilla redstone. And the way it works is basically we've got kind of 3 NOT gates here. So this redstone signal is on as long as we don't have a redstone signal here. This one is on if we don't have a redstone signal here. So this redstone signal will be on unless both of those redstone signals are on. Therefore, this torch will be off unless both of those redstone signals are on. And therefore, this torch will only disable our system if both of those redstone signals are on. So just to demonstrate that, so if we fill up with pumpkins, for instance, so let's say we have enough pumpkins in there, you can see this torch turns off. However, this redstone signal is still on because we don't have enough seeds. So this is off. Our system is still going to run. If we then have enough seeds, this redstone signal, oh, is that enough? That's enough. Okay, so now this redstone signal gets turned on because we have 3 redstone dusts here going into a repeater, and now both of these torches are off because we have enough of both of those things, which means this torch is on, which means these guys are getting a redstone signal, which means our hovering hourglass will not cause anything to happen. So if we take anything out of either of these, so if we take some dirt out, that means we need more pumpkins. This torch is now on, meaning this torch is off, and now our system's going to run. And the same would be true if we took some seeds out of here. So now this signal's off, meaning that torch is on, meaning this is off, meaning we're good to go. I do hope you enjoyed this. Of course, if you do have any questions, comments, ideas, or whatever about the pumpkin farm or anything else, feel free to let me know in the comments below. And of course, if you enjoyed this, don't forget to click the like button and to join me next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.